Welcome to Secrets of Chinese Sages. Did you know that some people are protected by heaven from the moment they're born? The divine never allows us to easily see this truth, but surrounding such people are countless invisible guardian spirits. These guardians are not drawn to wealth or status, but to virtue and integrity. They protect you not because of what you have, but because of who you are. No matter where you go, as long as your heart remains kind and righteous, these guardian spirits stay close. Even in times of great difficulty, their presence alone can turn misfortune into blessings and danger into safety. So take care of yourself. Cultivate goodness, refine your character, and your invisible protectors will naturally appear, bringing with them blessings and a shield of grace. In Buddhism, many have heard of Dharma protectors. But what exactly do they do? And how can we know if they are around us? It's actually quite simple. And when you're about to commit a wrongful act or harbor a harmful thought, and suddenly a voice within tells you, you can't do this. You're a follower of the Buddha. The guardians are watching. That moment of conscience, that's them. When you're facing hardship and your mind turns instinctively toward Avalokiteshvara, to Amitabha Buddha, or to your daily spiritual practices, that too is their subtle guidance. They don't reveal themselves because, first, they don't want you to become dependent. Second, your practice may not be strong enough to perceive them. And third, they don't exist on the same plane as us. Even if they were standing right in front of you, our human eyes couldn't see them. But trust that from the moment you were born, they've been near. Even a newborn child with no sense of morality yet is still protected by guardian spirits. The cry of a baby is said to be a sacred sound that brings joy to celestial beings and signals the arrival of a new soul to this world, one that is instantly blessed with a divine covenant. To these guardians, becoming human is itself a rare and precious journey of cultivation. Newborns often clench their fists tightly, with the thumb tucked inside the palm. This is known as the seal of closed gates. At birth, the crown chakra on their heads is said to be open, making their spiritual sensitivity stronger. That's why in ancient traditions, infants were not taken outside at night. Their heavenly eye remained open, and their souls still lingered close to the realms they came from. Everything they experience before the age of 3 is imprinted deep in their subconscious. As they grow, those memories fade, not because they are lost, but because conscious awareness hasn't yet caught up. The spiritual root of every person is like a blue lotus. For those with great virtue and merit, the lotus is vibrant and noble. Even without invitation, divine beings are drawn to protect them. And when someone's time in the human realm comes to an end, these spirits escort them away peacefully. This is why the passing of a great spiritual figure is never seen as a tragedy, but rather as a sacred return. For those who lack virtue, the lotus withers. There is no divine escort, only the 2 envoys of the underworld, black and white impermanence, who come to claim the soul. Their departure becomes a warning bell for the living. The universe operates on energy. When you accumulate merit, it naturally attracts protective forces. These guardians surround you not only to protect you, but also to grow through you. Even celestial dragons are said to guard the virtuous. When a Buddha appears in the world, it is said that thousands of Dharma protectors accompany him. According to the Agama Sutras, each person is born with spirits around them, but the number of protectors depends on the person's actions. A virtuous person may be accompanied by hundreds or even thousands of spirits. But an evil person might have just one or none at all. Think of them like the Secret Service assigned to a president. Wherever you go, they go too. But their number increases or decreases based on how you live. If you persist in wrongdoing, they will quietly leave you one by one. If you cultivate goodness, their numbers will grow. The Buddha taught that for every precept a person keeps, a corresponding guardian spirit is added. Those who follow all 5 precepts gain at least 25 protectors. Even when you speak, they're there. If you speak foolishly or with malice, they withdraw. But when you discuss Dharma or speak words of kindness and wisdom, they gather closely to listen. These protectors don't just shield, they also observe. Sometimes they discipline. This is why the saying, "Heaven has eyes," is more than just a proverb. It reflects a spiritual reality. The Agama texts also teach that on certain lunar days, the 8th, 14th, 15th, 23rd, 29th, and 30th, Divine beings descend to the human world to observe virtue and vice. On the 8th and 23rd, their generals are dispatched. On the 14th and 29th, the celestial princes come. And on the 15th and 30th, the celestial kings themselves descend. They report all they see to the heavenly emperor. There is a well-known folk tale that speaks of a cruel woman who throughout her life committed no virtuous deeds. After her death, she was dragged into the fiery pits of hell, where she was cast into a lake of flames. However, during her lifetime, she had once kept a statue of a Dharma protector in her home. Seeing her trapped and suffering, the protector felt pity and decided to try and help. He went to a bodhisattva and pleaded for mercy on her behalf. This woman, he said, once picked up a piece of string in her vegetable garden and gave it to a beggar. The bodhisattva replied, "Very well. Take that string and lower it beside the lake of fire. If she grabs it and you can pull her out, she may be allowed to ascend to the heavens." The Dharma protector quickly returned to the burning pit and lowered the string. As she grasped it, he began to pull her out. But as she neared the edge, other suffering souls tried to grab the string as well, desperate to escape. In that moment, her true nature revealed itself. She kicked at them, screaming, "This is my string, not yours." No sooner had she shouted than the string snapped, and she plunged back into the fire. The Dharma protector, heartbroken, could only watch in sorrow. That string, in truth, could have saved many. The Bodhisattva had used it as a test to see if she had any remorse, any compassion, but she failed. Her selfishness undid the only act of good she had ever performed. This story reminds us that in moments of trial, our true selves are revealed. Some people seem generous, but only when it costs them nothing. The moment their interests are threatened, they forget everyone else. Such people may appear kind, but when it matters most, their selfish hearts betray them. And not even divine protectors can save someone unwilling to change. The law of karma teaches us that goodness begets goodness, and evil begets misfortune. If you extend kindness to others, that kindness will find its way back to you, sometimes in ways you cannot foresee. The woman in the tale lost her chance at salvation not because she lacked help, but because she refused to help others. Here in the human world, we must learn to give love unconditionally. The line between virtue and vice is often just a thought. A single good thought can lift us to the heavens. A single selfish one can cast us into darkness. To stay out of hell is to cultivate compassion and avoid harming others, even in thought. Those who walk the path of spiritual practice must also understand the importance of proper conduct. In ancient times, entering a temple required respectful attire and a sincere heart. Yet today, many disregard such customs, especially women who enter sacred spaces dressed inappropriately. There is an old belief that women often carry heavier karmic burdens than men. This idea is rooted not in discrimination, but in spiritual caution. On Mount Putuo, there's a story of two sisters-in-law who made a pilgrimage to pay respects to the Bodhisattva. Travel was difficult in those days, and the journey could take over 2 weeks. The younger woman stayed behind to care for the home and didn't get to visit the temple. Her heart was heavy with disappointment. When the elder sister returned, she brought food and stories from the temple. But as they spoke, both women realized something strange had happened. They visited the temple again and saw that a piece of the Bodhisattva's statue was missing. It was then they understood. The Bodhisattva had manifested, showing compassion to the younger woman by visiting her in spirit. This tale reflects the deep reverence that people of old had for sacred beings. It teaches us that where there is sincerity, divine protectors will appear. Even today, people are obsessed with feng shui and lucky charms, hoping to attract good fortune. But true spiritual power cannot be bought or summoned through material things. Fortune follows virtue. If you lack merit, no amulet can help you. There is a sacred law in the universe, one that cannot be broken. You cannot cheat your way into spiritual blessings. You must live them. The renowned Master Lianchi once said, "Real virtue should be hidden. Only then can karma be dissolved." If you perform a good deed and crave praise for it, you weaken the merit you've earned. But if others scorn your goodness, your merit is protected. Praise diminishes while criticism can purify. When you make a mistake, don't try to hide it. It will rot within you. Bring it to light and let it be cleansed. In your spiritual journey, never advertise your merits. No matter how devout your practice, avoid boasting. When you keep your virtue quiet, the Dharma protectors still see and support you. They know what you've done, even if no one else does. In the early stages of spiritual practice, many of us experience doubt. We recite sutras, chant the Buddha's name, and make offerings, yet we wonder why blessings don't come as expected. We may begin to question, are the bodhisattvas not listening? Do Dharma protectors even exist? But the truth is, it's not that the Buddhas and protectors aren't helping, it's that our own virtue and inner cultivation are not yet sufficient. When our words and actions are not aligned with true Dharma, no divine being can intervene on our behalf. So what should we do? The answer lies in returning to ourselves, correcting our conduct, and diligently accumulating merit. When we sincerely do good, even if we do not pray every day, heavenly protection will naturally follow. Dharma protectors are guided by the light of our deeds, our discipline, and our intent. There are three kinds of Dharma protectors: those who are with us due to past life affinity, those who come through karmic interaction, and those we attract through our current efforts. For instance, someone might narrowly escape a serious accident, not by luck, but because their ancestors had amassed great virtue, and the protectors intervened. If a person had little prior merit but continuously endures hardship with a sincere heart, they too can attract Dharma protectors through their perseverance and integrity. These divine guardians are drawn not to our prayers alone, but to our commitment to moral action. When you engage in offerings and prayers with a pure heart, you build a bridge between yourself and the protectors. Over time, this bond strengthens and becomes a pillar of your spiritual journey. However, this connection is not guaranteed. It depends on the sincerity of your practice. If you cultivate virtue, more protectors will gather around you. If you act selfishly or harm others, they will begin to leave you. To maintain their presence, one of the most effective ways is to formally take refuge in the triple gem, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and observe the 5 precepts. The scriptures say that those who take refuge are accompanied by 36 celestial generals who vow to protect them. If one also upholds the 5 precepts, 25 great bodhisattvas will guard them day and night. Taking refuge and precepts is not a ritual. It is a sacred gift to oneself, one that brings invisible yet powerful support throughout the cycles of life and death. Even those who haven't yet taken refuge can begin by practicing the 10 virtuous deeds and avoiding the 10 evil acts. These deeds relate to our actions, speech, and thoughts. Physically, we must refrain from killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. In speech, we avoid lying, harsh words, gossip, and idle chatter. In thought, we guard against greed, anger, and ignorance. On special observance days, known as the Eightfold Fasting Days, such as the 1st, 8th, 14th, 15th, 23rd, 29th, and 30th of the lunar month, Dharma protectors and celestial beings descend to observe human behavior. If during these days we reflect on ourselves, confess our faults, and strive to better our conduct, the protectors will multiply around us. Ultimately, it's not about asking divine beings to help us. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts their protection. Heaven helps those who help themselves. If we think kindly of others, help when we can, and act with integrity, we will always have invisible allies beside us. The scriptures tell us that the true dwelling place of Dharma protectors is not outside us, but within our hearts and minds. When we uphold sincerity and moral clarity, they rejoice. So let us abandon greed, anger, and deceit. Let us offer not just fruit and incense, but our genuine virtue. If you forget to offer an apple or a cup of tea one day, the protectors won't turn their backs on you. They are not petty. What they truly respond to is your inner sincerity. When your heart is pure and your intentions selfless, they will never leave you, even if no physical offering is made. A great Tibetan master once said, "If your heart longs to help all beings, the protectors will come to you unbidden. You don't even need to call them." When your spirit is calm and your actions are rooted in goodness, they will support you in silence, empowering your every step on the path. Those who are blessed with the protection of Dharma guardians often possess qualities that may seem subtle, but are deeply profound. You may find that they remain calm in crisis, grounded in turmoil, and humble even in success. Their lives seem to unfold with a quiet harmony, This is not mere coincidence. These are people who, through their conduct, have invited divine support. When someone consistently chooses righteousness over convenience, sincerity over manipulation, compassion over indifference, a field of merit naturally forms around them. This invisible field attracts protectors, spiritual beings that watch over them, guide them through hardships, and open doors when the path seems blocked. In contrast, people who live driven by greed, anger, deceit, or arrogance gradually diminish this field. As their actions stray from Dharma, the protectors too begin to fade from their lives. Without them, even small challenges become insurmountable, and opportunities slip away no matter how hard they try. It's not about appearing holy or perfect. It's about being honest with oneself, acknowledging one's flaws, and striving to improve. Dharma protectors do not demand that we be saints. They respond to our efforts, our sincerity, and our persistence. When you fall but continue to rise with humility and renewed effort, they are moved. Even without formal ceremonies, when one begins to live truthfully, kindly, and with awareness, they step onto a path of resonance with higher realms. This resonance calls to the guardians, just as a tuning fork summons a harmonious vibration. Those who live this way may find that they are warned in dreams, receive sudden insights, or encounter timely help in the most unexpected ways. These are not random. They are signs that someone is watching over you. To nurture this connection, you must cultivate clarity of mind and stability of heart. Avoid places, people, or habits that dull your awareness or distort your morality. Instead, spend time in stillness, in service, and in study of teachings that uplift your mind. The most powerful offering to a Dharma protector is not incense or fruit, but your vow to live with integrity. When you keep your word, help others without expectation, and refrain from harming life in all its forms, you are surrounded by blessings, even if you do not see them. This is why ancient sages often lived simple lives, away from noise and wealth, yet were revered and remembered for generations. Their strength did not come from worldly power, but from the profound alignment of their lives with the laws of the universe. If you find that things often go wrong, no matter how hard you try, pause and reflect. Are you aligned with truth? Are you harming others in ways subtle or obvious? Are you seeking quick results instead of doing the right thing, patiently? These are the questions that matter more than any external ritual. To walk with protectors by your side, be the kind of person they are drawn to. Speak less, act more. Criticize less, encourage more. Accumulate good deeds quietly and allow your virtue to speak for itself. In the end, those who live with Dharma become like a lamp in the dark. They need not shout their light, others will see it, and the protectors will guard it. Live in such a way that your life becomes a prayer, your actions an offering, and your heart a sanctuary where the sacred resides. To continue walking the path guarded by unseen protectors, one must first understand that these guardians respond not to appearances, but to the vibration of the heart. A heart that is sincere, humble, and anchored in kindness emits a light that even the heavens cannot ignore. Such a person may not be wealthy or famous, but wherever they go, they bring peace. Strangers offer help without being asked, problems resolve themselves unexpectedly, and danger seems to pass them by. This is not luck. This is resonance with divine order. Even in silence, when no one is watching, they choose integrity. They speak the truth, even when it is difficult. They return what isn't theirs, even when they could have kept it. They help others, even when there is no recognition. These actions are like prayers that reach the ears of heaven, louder than any chant or bell. Dharma protectors are not mere myths. They are manifestations of universal justice. They are the balance keepers. They do not belong to any religion. They respond to virtue, not to ritual. Whether one follows Buddhism, Taoism, or no formal path at all, it is the goodness in one's heart that draws them near. If someone lives with envy, dishonesty, or cruelty, the protectors will retreat, not out of punishment, but because the frequency of such a life repels them. And in that space, negativity can grow unchecked. Illness, misfortune, conflict, they are not random. They are reminders that we have drifted from our center. But when one turns inward, begins to correct the course, seeks forgiveness, makes amends, and chooses compassion again, the guardians return. Sometimes slowly, sometimes swiftly. Their presence is felt as calm in chaos, clarity in confusion, and unseen hands that lift you when you falter. Those who truly understand this no longer seek shortcuts. They do not pray for wealth or power, but for wisdom, peace, and the strength to live rightly. They do not boast of their goodness because they know that true virtue is quiet. The more one shows off their merits, the more those merits are lost. Protectors are drawn to those who do good without expectation, who remain humble even when praised, and who quietly endure hardship without bitterness. Such people are rare, but when they walk the earth, even storms seem to part for them. So if you wish for divine protection, begin with self-discipline. Observe your thoughts, your speech, your actions. Purify them with truth, with kindness, with restraint. Avoid gossip, do not speak ill of others, and do not dwell in negativity. Feed your spirit with teachings that elevate you, and serve without complaint. When protectors gather around you, the light of your life spreads to others. You become a safe harbor for the weary, a warm fire in the cold, a voice of reason in the noise. This is the true power of being protected, not for oneself, but for what one can offer the world. May you live in such a way that you never need to ask for protection, because the protectors will never leave your side. They say that heaven helps those who help themselves, but beyond that, heaven especially helps those who help others without seeking reward. Such people, by simply being who they are, create ripples of goodness in the world. These ripples do not go unnoticed. Dharma protectors are not summoned by loud chants or grand temples. They are drawn to the subtle, the sincere, the silent efforts we make every day to live with compassion and humility. It could be a kind word to someone in distress, an act of generosity done in secret, or even the strength to forgive someone who never apologized. The moment we begin to live for more than just ourselves, a shift occurs in the fabric of the universe. What we do begins to echo. And in this echo, the protectors hear our intent. Those who are truly guarded by spiritual forces often live simple lives. Their peace is their wealth. Their honesty is their crown. They walk lightly on the earth, but leave deep impressions in the hearts of those they touch. Even in moments of adversity, they remain centered. When others panic, they remain calm. When others give up, they endure. This resilience is not just from their own will. It is a reflection of the invisible hands guiding and strengthening them from beyond. But these hands are not guaranteed forever. If one strays too far from virtue, if ego, greed, and arrogance take over, the protectors slowly withdraw. Not in anger, but in sadness. They do not force their presence where they are no longer welcome. However, no one is ever completely abandoned. The moment we realize our mistakes, when we humble ourselves and return to the path of integrity, they come back. Sometimes through subtle signs, sometimes through unexpected blessings. But they return. Not because we ask, but because we become once again worthy. So if you feel lost, surrounded by misfortune or darkness, ask yourself not, why is this happening to me, but where did I turn away from the light? The answer is always within. And once you find your way back by choosing honesty over lies, patience over anger, kindness over cruelty, the path becomes clearer. The weight begins to lift, and slowly, gently, the protectors return to your side. Remember, you are never truly alone. Even when you cannot see them, feel them, or hear them, they walk with you, waiting for the moment when your heart shines brightly enough to call them home. Those who are protected by unseen forces often radiate a quiet strength. It's not loud, not boastful, but steady, grounded, and reassuring. You can feel it in their presence. They are not easily shaken because they carry with them the confidence of alignment with truth, with virtue, and with the higher laws of the universe. When such people speak, their words carry weight, not because they are eloquent, but because they are sincere. When they act, their deeds bear fruit. Not because they seek reward, but because they act from a place of purpose. This is the unseen merit they carry, and with that merit comes protection. It is said that heaven does not always protect the clever, but it always protects the kind. This is not just a poetic saying, it is a reality many have experienced. How often have we seen those who quietly do good avoid disasters, find unexpected help, or seem to glide through challenges that would crush others? That is no coincidence. That is virtue in motion. This protection is not granted based on wealth, fame, or cleverness. In fact, these things can often create more illusion and draw the ego further from truth. Protection comes from purity. It comes from a life lived with discipline, compassion, and humility. But it is not passive. You must live in such a way that these unseen guardians feel honored to be near you. Speak with care. Think with awareness. Give without asking for return. Forgive more than you are forgiven. Choose patience over impulse. And when it feels like no one sees, continue anyway, because they do. And what happens when you do this consistently? You begin to change. Not only do you draw protectors near, but your own heart becomes more radiant. You worry less, you fear less. And in the stillness of your soul, you begin to hear guidance, not from outside, but from within. True spiritual protection is not about avoiding hardship. It's about carrying an inner light so strong that no darkness can penetrate it. The protectors around you may help you avoid misfortune, but more importantly, they help you face it with courage and clarity when it comes. To live such a life is not a superstition. It is a choice, a discipline, a devotion to the unseen order of things. The ancient sages understood this well. They taught that those who live in harmony with virtue are never truly alone. So when you rise each day, ask not, "What do I want today?" but "How can I be of service?" When you sleep each night, ask not, "What did I gain?" but "Did I live with integrity?" These questions, answered in sincerity, become the key that unlocks the protection of the heavens. And as you walk this path, you will come to know the true guardians are drawn not to who you pretend to be, but to who you choose to become. Even in silence, your virtue speaks. When you hold back from slander, when you refrain from harming others, even in thought, you are already practicing the highest form of protection. Every moment you choose kindness over cruelty, discipline over indulgence, you are building a shield, one that is not visible to the eye, but known to the heavens. These protectors do not come because you beg or chant or cry. They come because your actions align with a greater truth. Because you uphold what is right even when no one is watching. Because you bring peace instead of discord. Because you walk away from temptation when no one would blame you for indulging. These are the signs that awaken divine attention. Many people chase luck, seek charms, or consult mystics to protect them from bad fortune. But the greatest protection is invisible and cannot be bought. It is cultivated. It is earned by who you are and how you treat others. When you lie, cheat, harm, or exploit, you push your protectors away. You tell them you no longer walk the path they watch over. But when you are honest, when you keep your promises, when you help others without expecting a return, you signal to the universe that you are worthy of guardianship. And you will feel it. In the most impossible moments, when your strength falters and the odds are against you, help will arrive. Not always in the form you expect. Sometimes it's a stranger lending a hand. Sometimes it's a delay that spares you from danger. Sometimes it's simply an inner voice telling you to pause, to wait, to breathe. That is your protection at work. When storms come and you remain unshaken, you'll understand. You'll understand. The ones wholly safe in this world are not those with power, not those with fame, but those whose hearts are aligned with virtue. The wise ones do not boast about their protectors. They do not flaunt their blessings. They remain humble, for they know it is not their doing alone, but the result of living in harmony with a greater order. So keep walking this path. Speak gently. Live simply. Give generously. Forgive freely. In doing so, you become not just a person with protection, you become a source of light in a dark world, and where there is light, shadows cannot remain. Your protectors, these unseen guardians, are not bound by form or name. Some may call them divine beings, ancestors, spirits, or simply fate. But no matter what you call them, their presence is real when your heart is pure and your conduct is righteous. They are not swayed by loud prayers or grand gestures, but by sincerity. A single act of compassion done in silence can summon more divine aid than 1,000 chants uttered with an empty heart. You may never see them, never hear them, but you will feel their influence. The road clears when it once seemed blocked. The fall you feared never comes. The wound you expected never appears. And sometimes, in your darkest moment, you find yourself mysteriously uplifted by strength you didn't know you had, by love you didn't know existed. This is the quiet blessing of those who walk with protectors. And what must you do to walk with them? First, cultivate mindfulness in every action. Let your steps be steady, your words be measured, and your emotions well governed. Where there is discipline, chaos cannot enter. Second, practice humility. The The protectors do not favor arrogance. A humble heart invites harmony, while a proud one invites misfortune. Third, give without calculation. Help those who cannot repay you. Speak up for those with no voice. Share warmth where the world is cold. These are not just good deeds, they are signals to the higher realms that you are ready to be entrusted with more. Fourth, cleanse your thoughts. It is not enough to act kindly if your mind is full of malice. The universe listens to your thoughts as clearly as your words. The purer your mind, the stronger your light, and light attracts guardians. Finally, endure with grace. Life will not always be fair, but if you respond to hardship with dignity, your protectors will not abandon you. Instead, they will walk more closely, guiding you through the trials, whispering resilience into your soul. In the end, protection is not about being saved from every fall. It's about being held through the fall and rising stronger than before. Walk with virtue, think with clarity, live with kindness, and you will never walk alone. There is a saying, when virtue walks ahead, blessings follow behind. Those who carry light in their hearts often don't realize how many shadows they dispel, not only for themselves, but for everyone around them. This is why those who live quietly yet sincerely are often the ones most powerfully protected. The energy of protection does not respond to loudness or show. It answers to resonance. When your inner frequency aligns with goodness, with honesty, with compassion, the guardians, whether you call them spirits, ancestors, angels, or deities, will naturally gravitate toward you. They do not need invitation, for your presence is their call. Look closely at your life. Think of the moments you narrowly escaped disaster, the times when you were about to give up, yet found unexpected strength. That was not coincidence, that was guidance. And still, you must understand this. Protection is not immunity. It does not mean that misfortune will never knock on your door, but it does mean that you will be given the strength to withstand it. It means that you will have unseen hands to catch you when you stumble, unseen voices to whisper wisdom when your mind is clouded. So how do we continue to cultivate this divine companionship? Through restraint. Restraint in words, restraint in anger, restraint in indulgence. Every time you choose restraint over reaction, the guardians draw closer through gratitude, not only for the blessings, but also for the challenges. Gratitude transforms pain into learning, misfortune into depth. The more grateful your heart, the brighter your spiritual light, and light always calls protectors. Through forgiveness. Resentment is like poison to the soul. It repels what is good and nourishes what is dark. But forgiveness cleanses you, making you lighter, purer, more attuned to the subtle forces that surround you. And through silence. In silence, we begin to hear. In silence, we recognize signs. In silence, we feel the breath of those watching over us, not as noise, but as a presence, calm, grounding, eternal. To live with protectors is to walk the middle path, not too rigid, not too careless, not too high, not too low. A life of steady virtue, of sincere intentions, and of peaceful strength. This is the kind of life that does not scream for help, but constantly receives it. And when you live in this way, protection is not something you ask for, it becomes something you carry. You carry it in your words, gentle, thoughtful, never meant to wound. You carry it in your actions, measured, compassionate, never rooted in selfish gain. You carry it in your silence, present, peaceful, open to guidance. And you carry it in your thoughts, pure, uncluttered, seeking to understand rather than to judge. Those protected by higher forces often walk through storms, but they are never swept away. They fall, but not to destruction. They struggle, but not in despair. It is as if some invisible hand gently steadies them, lifts them just enough to keep going, and clears a small path through the densest woods when all seems lost. If you seek this protection, don't go looking for signs in the clouds or omens in the stars. Look instead in the mirror and in the way you treat those around you. Ask yourself, am I honest when no one is watching? Do I extend kindness even when it goes unnoticed? Do I honor others without expecting anything in return? That is the altar where protection begins. Because the protectors are not drawn to loud prayers or dramatic offerings, they are drawn to character. They're drawn to humility, to perseverance, to quiet strength, to those who show compassion when they have the power to punish, to those who give when they have little, to those who live simply, truthfully, and with deep respect for the unseen. As you cultivate these traits, the protectors will gather. Maybe you'll never see them, never hear them, but you'll feel it. In the calm that surrounds you in chaos, in the peace that settles over your home, in the grace that meets you at the edge of difficulty. So protect your protectors, not with rituals, but with righteousness. Not with candles, but with conscience. Not with fear, but with faith. Live as if you are never alone, because you aren't. Walk as if someone walks beside you, because they do. And speak as if every word carries light, because it can. This is how we honor the invisible guardians who walk with us, by living each day as if we are already blessed, because in truth, we are. And when you stumble, because you will, do not despair. Those who are truly protected are not those who never fall, but those who rise each time with more humility, more wisdom, more grace. The protectors do not expect perfection. What they seek is sincerity, a heart that tries again, a soul that longs to grow. In the quiet moments when no one sees, your smallest good deed echoes louder than 100 proclamations. When you comfort a stranger, forgive without being asked, choose honesty over ease. These are the moments that shine like lanterns in the spiritual realm. These are the reasons unseen forces draw near. Sometimes it is your kindness that shields your child. Sometimes it is your integrity that opens doors for generations to come. We don't always see the ripple of our actions, but the protectors do, and they respond. There is a sacred rhythm to the world. What you give returns, not always in the form you expect, but always in the form you need. A delayed hardship, a sudden opportunity, a narrow escape, they are all signs that your virtue is being honored. So do not wait until crisis to walk upright. Do not wait until you are watched to act rightly. Each day is a thread in the great tapestry of your life, and the finer you weave it, the more beauty and strength it will hold. Make your life a prayer. Let your choices be offerings. Let your breath carry peace. Because when you live like this, with quiet conviction, compassionate action, and an open heart, you won't need to beg for protection. You will become the kind of person they choose to protect, not because you asked, but because you aligned. And in that alignment, you will find not only safety, but purpose. And so, as you walk your path, whether in solitude or surrounded by many, carry yourself with dignity. Not the kind born of pride, but the quiet strength that comes from self-awareness and inner clarity. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be free from flaws, but you must be honest with yourself, with others, and with the divine. Live as if the protectors are always watching, because they are. Not to punish, but to guide. Not to judge, but to uplift. They don't ask for elaborate rituals or grand displays. They ask that you act with conscience, that you speak with kindness, that you think with purity. In this way, your life becomes a temple, your thoughts become incense, your deeds become prayers. It is easy to look for spiritual signs in the stars or seek divine approval in fortune or fame, but the greatest sign is peace within. When you sleep soundly, love deeply, and give freely, that is the mark of true protection. Sometimes the protectors whisper through intuition. Sometimes they speak through dreams. And sometimes they move through others. A friend who shows up just in time. A stranger who helps for no reason. A teacher whose words resonate in your soul. Pay attention. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that you are seen, that you are valued, and that your goodness is not forgotten. Above all, keep cultivating virtue. When you fall, rise humbly. When you succeed, remain grateful. When you are lost, return to your center. And when you are unsure, choose love. Because the divine sees far beyond our moments of confusion. And the protectors, they never abandon those who walk with heart. Even when the road feels uncertain, even when darkness seems to cloud your path, do not forget, you are never truly alone. Every act of kindness, every decision to forgive, every effort to choose right over easy adds light to your journey. That light doesn't just illuminate your way, it draws guardians closer. Your protectors are not drawn to wealth, status, or show. They are drawn to the quiet courage of someone who resists anger when provoked, to the silent resilience of one who carries burdens but still smiles at others, to the humble strength of those who give without expecting anything in return. There is a saying among the sages, when the heart is righteous, the heavens respond. This is not superstition. It is the sacred rhythm of the universe. Everything you send out comes back. Not always in the way you expect, but always in the way you need. So let your words be gentle, your thoughts be clear, Your actions be just. Live with the kind of integrity that doesn't need applause. Live in such a way that if no one ever knew your name, the heavens would still sing of your character. And when challenges come, and they will, face them not with fear, but with presence. Do not shrink back and say, "Why me?" Stand tall and ask, "What is this moment here to teach me?" Because the protectors do not remove all hardship, they give you the strength to rise through it. The universe is always listening, and the guardians, though unseen, are always near. You only need to walk with heart, to act with compassion, to think with honesty. This is the shield that no sword can pierce. This is the blessing no curse can undo. This is the way of one who walks in the light, even when surrounded by shadow. And in doing so, you become a guardian for others, a beacon, a protector in your own right, a living reminder that the sacred is not far, it is within. Many people wonder why some seem to be naturally blessed, always safe from harm, easily successful, or inexplicably lucky. They may attribute this to fate, privilege, or mere coincidence. But the truth runs deeper. Those who carry light in their hearts tend to attract divine presence, not because they ask for it aloud, but because their very nature calls it in. The invisible guardians respond to sincerity, humility, and quiet strength. They gather not around those who shout the loudest, but those who walk the path with grace, even when no one watches. If your thoughts are clean, your intentions pure, and your actions compassionate, you become a vessel of sacred energy. That energy radiates outward and becomes a magnet, drawing in unseen forces of protection, wisdom, and opportunity. This doesn't mean your life will be without challenge, but it does mean that when the storm comes, you'll have shelter. Not always visible, not always immediate, but always there. You'll find doors open where others see only walls. You'll find guidance in silence, strength in stillness. The more you align your life with virtue, patience, generosity, truthfulness, the stronger your connection with these protectors becomes. They don't demand perfection, they don't expect sainthood, but they are moved by effort, by intention, by the quiet discipline of someone who chooses good again and again, even when it's hard. Some people lose their protectors without even realizing it, through anger, greed, arrogance, or deceit. And yet, the moment they turn back toward goodness sincerely and humbly, the guardians return. Not to reward, but to support. In temples and scriptures, these truths are whispered, but they are not confined to religion. They live in the everyday, in how you treat a stranger, how you speak when no one is listening, and how you carry yourself through disappointment. Every blessing you receive is not just a gift, it's a response. Every act of grace in your life is a mirror reflecting the grace you give. So remember, walk with care, speak with purpose, think with kindness, and whether you see them or not, know that the guardians are near. There is an ancient teaching that says when a person walks the path of righteousness, even heaven and earth will conspire to assist them. This doesn't mean you need to be perfect, but it means that your heart must lean toward the light, that you must strive each day to do better, to be kinder, to bring less harm and more healing into the world. The universe responds not to loud proclamations, but to quiet consistency. Some may ask, if divine protectors are real, then why do good people still suffer? But suffering is not always a punishment. Sometimes it is a purification. Sometimes it is the fire that tempers the steel within us, that prepares us for a greater role in the world. Even the most sacred beings are not immune to trials. They simply face them differently, with grace and resilience. In those moments when everything feels heavy, when the path is dark and uncertain, trust that you are not alone. Trust that there are unseen hands guiding you, lifting burdens you cannot see, and placing quiet strength in your heart. Often, the presence of these guardians is not felt through miracles, but through a sudden sense of calm during chaos, an intuitive nudge that steers you away from danger, or an unexpected kindness that arrives at just the right time. These are not accidents. These are answers. To keep this sacred protection close, nourish your inner life. Speak truth. Give when it's hard. Forgive even when it hurts. Help without seeking reward. And most importantly, take time to be still, to reflect, and to listen, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. As you do, the path before you will slowly light up, not with loud revelations, but with gentle, steady clarity. When others hurry, you will walk in peace. When others stumble, you will stand with strength. not because you are more powerful, but because you are more aligned. And alignment with goodness is the greatest protection of all.